Welcome to Season 6 of the Wealthy Retailer Podcast. This 12-episode season is chock full of experiential guidance garnered from a 30-year career in retail. Our host Dan Holman shares his experience, tried and failed tactics, success tips, and his raw opinions on becoming wealthy in retail. Listen in as he shares openly about overcoming the challenges you face as a retail leader in today's marketplace. Whether you are a long-time listener or if this is your first time listening, thank you. Please be sure to subscribe and rate on your favorite podcast platform, and hey, why not share with someone you know? And now here's Dan.
In the world of retail, the way you meet and engage with your guests can have a profound impact on their overall experience. Understanding the differences between greeting guests in your store and meeting guests can help you tailor your approach to create a warm and inviting atmosphere. On this week's podcast, I'm going to dive into the distinctions between these two scenarios and explore how they can impact customer experience.
Welcome to Season 6 of the Wealthy Retailer Podcast. This 12-episode season is chock full of experiential guidance garnered from a 30-year career in retail. Our host Dan Holman shares his experience, tried and failed tactics, success tips, and his raw opinions on becoming wealthy in retail. Listen in as he shares openly about overcoming the challenges you face as a retail leader in today's marketplace. Whether you are a long-time listener or if this is your first time listening, thank you. Please be sure to subscribe and rate on your favorite podcast platform, and hey, why not share with someone you know? And now here's Dan.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Dan Holman. Thank you so much for joining us. This week, we're taking a leap from last week's podcast where we started to think about the difference between greeting and meeting guests in your selling system. Today, we're going to try to understand the key differences, and we're going to start on that greeting side. Greeting customers in your store is primarily transactional. Your primary goal is to provide them with assistance, information, and guidance related to their shopping experience. This greeting generally takes place in a crowded space on your store floor. The store's layout, customers, merchandise, display, all play a significant role in setting the tone for this first interaction. So as this is our first interaction, and of course we believe first impressions are the best, you and your employees should be presented in attire that is consistent with your brand. This helps to create a professional and approachable image. I want to see your team dressed in clothes that speak to your store's brand. If you're a streetwear brand, I'm cool with you wearing a ball cap and a hoodie. If you're ladies fashion, I'm not there to see you in a pair of leggings. I want to see you in your best style outfit that best represents who your store is. Now, let's get off my little tangent here and jump forward to this interaction. Employees in the store often approach guests proactively. It is at our core what we do. They're going to offer assistance or ask questions, to gauge the customer's needs and preferences. The focus of this interaction is typically on the product or service that the customer's interested in. The employee's role is simply to facilitate that purchase or perhaps answer questions related to the items available. We are typically polite and efficient, and store employees aim to ensure a smooth shopping experience, which often includes the checkout and the bagging. But I want you to shift your thinking here. I want you to shift to meeting guests. The word meeting itself is much more relational than greeting. I want to meet guests in my store. My aim is to build a connection. I'm going to offer some hospitality and give them this or create this welcoming environment for them. And the initiating interaction is key here. And before we go to the store, let's just take a step back into a personal setting like your home. Your guests are often greeted at the door. The interaction is typically initiated by you, the host, where you're offering a hug, a handshake, or a welcoming gesture. Why would this be any different in your retail home, in your retail store? You may need to replace the handshake or hug with a warm smile to avoid an awkward encounter, but the sentiment remains the same. Connection is key. The focus of meeting guests is on building connections and making them feel at ease. This requires conversation. Hey, maybe offer them a drink, maybe a comfortable place to sit, maybe simply an empathetic ear. But it is about becoming relational and conversational. So the key takeaways for me in shifting from greeting to meeting, I want you to think about this personalized experience that meeting guests offers. It gives you the opportunity to be more personalized. As your sales associate can then tailor the conversation and the in-store experience to the guest preferences or needs. The key takeaways here for me in understanding the differences between greeting a guest in your store and meeting guests is essential for providing the best possible experience. While I much prefer the latter, meeting guests, in busy holiday periods, we may have to revert to a strong greeting approach. Either way, you and your team need to be context aware, recognize the setting and the timing of the interaction, and tailor the approach accordingly. Always, always offer personalization. These personalized interactions go a long way in making your guest feel special and valued in your store. And you have to maintain professionalism. In your store, professionalism is crucial. I talked about that, when I talk about how we're dressed and the power of body language. Professionalism is crucial, and warmth and authenticity are equally important in building good relationships with your guests. You need to focus on building relationships. While both the greeting and meeting aim to provide a positive experience, the emphasis in your store must be on building and nurturing relationships. Adjusting your and their approach is key to enhancing the guest experience, leaving a lasting positive impression that brings the now client back into your store time and time again. Happy retailing.
The Wealthy Retailer podcast is brought to you by Canadian Retail Solutions, empowering retailers since 1991 with comprehensive point-of-sale software, point-of-sale and IT support and training, retail and executive coaching, along with advanced inventory management solutions. At our core, we believe in real and relevant relationships, solution-based sales and service, maintaining a client-centered bottom-line focus, and providing credible and complete care. Learn more at www.canadianretailsolutions.com.